What's up guys, Stinkfish here. I'm back with another video, and now we are going to talk about the fallout from Fastlane and this first week heading into WrestleMania. I'll discuss the results of Fastlane and what I think about each match, the outcomes, how they went down, and everything like that. And we already have some confirmed matches for WrestleMania, so I'll discuss those as well as what happened on Monday Night Raw. So right off the bat with Fastlane, the first thing I noticed was Mauro Ranallo was on commentary, and I got so excited. I was like, yes, we're not having Michael Cole. Maybe he's out with a sickness or something, but we have Mauro Ranallo on commentary, and I was so excited. And then we find out he's only there for the pre-show, which was a little disappointing. So speaking of the pre-show, the match was Del Rio versus Kalisto, which should have been on just the regular card, but regardless, it was a decent match. I still feel like it was a little sloppy, I still feel like there was some miscommunication between the two, but they still worked well together. This was one of their better matches. But damn it, Del Rio, stay off of Kalisto's mask. You ripped it off like twice in the match. Like every time you go for it, like you try to fake pull it off, you really pull it off and you put it back on. Like you have to force yourself to put it back on. Like just stay off the mask. God damn. Right off the bat, I was thinking this could have been their best match to date. Like they were working well right off the bat, and then they get the DQ first fall. Del Rio hits Kalisto with a chair, which it was alright. I mean, it was frustrating as a fan to see that happen, but they played it off well, and you could see like what Del Rio's strategy was, because he picked up a quick second fall, doing his double foot stomp, but executed in the corner, and it looked cleaner, but it didn't look as impactful. I mean, it still had impact, but it just, you know, it's not the same force as jumping off the top rope and landing on them. So that was a little weird, but it was also like Kalisto had just suffered a chair shot, so you know that he was hurt, so it, yeah, alright, second fall. So the match is tied up 1-1, Kalisto's hurt and Del Rio has the upper hand, but he makes a comeback, they're going back and forth or whatever, and then they're in the corner and Kalisto's attempting the Salina del Sol, and he can't quite get over the top, so he does this cool like little whip down snap, throws Del Rio in the corner, rolls him up for the 1-2-3, perfect underdog win. Kalisto retains his title, just as I predicted. So then we get to the actual show and Cole is back on commentary. But the first match is Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch versus Naomi and Tamina. Yay! This was a good solid match, 4 great female competitors all tagging together, good tag team match. You had the good psychology of Becky getting dominated for most of the match 2-on-1, being held in Team Bad's corner and just not quite being able to make it to Sasha, always having the tag interrupted or Sasha getting pulled off the apron. But so Becky's being dominated for most of the match, and then Sasha eventually gets the hot tag and she comes in and she starts owning everyone. She's shining, she's looking great, really showing what she can do as a singles competitor. The only thing that kind of caught my eye about this was it almost made Sasha look better than Becky, because she could take on Team Bad by herself, whereas Becky was getting dominated by the two of them, but it really made Sasha look great taking on the two by herself. So the finish of the match was beautiful. Sasha hit the tilt-a-whirl into a bank statement submission, and right before Naomi was about to break it up, Becky Lynch comes in, wraps her in the disarmor, both of them tap out at the same time, Sasha and Becky win. Another prediction correct. Next up was the Intercontinental title match between Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler. This was a great match. These two worked really well together. Even though they've fought each other several times lately, this was definitely their best match. They were given more time, and it really was a showcase of Owens' power versus Ziggler's speed and his technical wrestling ability. Ziggler's amateur abilities really shined at this match, whereas Owens' power really came into play, countering moves and throwing Dolph around. That whip into the corner really looked painful for Dolph's neck. Like, it looked really aggressive, but it was really good for the match. I loved how Kevin Owens, he always does like the headlock city, you know, you got Brock with suplex city, Owens has been doing headlock city, or tonight he called it chinlock island, which was still great. Owens really shined as a heel because he can talk the talk while he's fighting the fight. For example, as he's tossing Ziggler around, he says, "Your hometown likes me better than you," which was true. Some of the biggest pops of the night were for Dean and for Ziggler, who were the hometown boys, but they were still during the match cheering Owens more than they were cheering Ziggler, which was kind of funny. If I'm gonna get nitpicky, the two things I noticed about this match were that Dolph always went for lazy covers, which was like, I know he's supposed to be exhausted, but you can still like hook a leg or something. He would just kind of like drape himself on top of Owens, which just didn't really make sense to me. And also the ring out psychology sort of thing didn't make sense sometimes. You have Owens, who's the champion, who is sort of like allowed to roll out of the ring because he can't lose the title if he's counted out, but you also had Ziggler I don't know, in the match, I just remember noticing like Ziggler would roll out of the ring at weird times, and it would be like, Ziggler, you're not going to win the title if you get counted out, or he would throw Owens out of the ring. It's like, you can't beat him if he's outside the ring. You kind of like stay in the ring and let Owens catch his breath on the outside. Other than that, it was a great match with a great finish. Owens had a very impactful pop-up powerbomb. He pulled him in by the arm, slammed him down hard. Ziggler sold it perfectly. Looked painful, looked like Ziggler was just down, he was done. And Owens picked up the win and retained his title. My prediction is correct again. And now we get to my one wrong prediction of the night. The Titans beat the Wyatts. Why? Why did this happen? Like I said in my previous video, in my predictions video, Big Show, Kane, and Ryback have nothing to gain from this. Now, if you want to keep branching off of this, Ryback turned heel on Raw. He jumped off the apron and during the match and cost Kane the win, which also was funny because you could see Kane, he's setting up for the chokeslam, looks over at Ryback, goes, Ryback! Telling him to jump off the apron and walk up the ramp, so you could see that happen. But it almost felt like if you're going to work this angle, why not work it at the pay-per-view? Like, otherwise, you had the same match on Raw that you did at the pay-per-view. Like, why did this match happen? Why did the Titans win? It did nothing for them. Ryback backstage said he wants a spotlight on him. The spotlight should all be on him. Doesn't that sound familiar? It just crushes the Wyatts. Like, they have no more credibility. I don't care about them anymore. On the road to WrestleMania, especially now knowing that Brock will fight Dean, another thing that I had suggested in one of my previous videos, you're gonna have Brock versus Dean, so it's not gonna be Bray versus Brock, so what's the Wyatt family doing at Mania? Don't know, I don't really care. WWE just threw them down the shitter, and there's nothing to do with them anymore. They have no credibility. I don't care about the Wyatts anymore. I tried giving them a chance, not anymore. The match didn't even make sense either. Like, the Wyatts had an extra man on the outside. They could have pulled some sort of shenanigans or something, get a heel win. But the Titans won clean. Despite the extra man on the outside, they had a perfect opportunity to pull this off too. It was like Wyatt distracted Ryback, so Harper had an opportunity to, I don't know, disc his clothesline and finish the match. But Kane comes in, boots Wyatt, distracts Harper, and Ryback botches the shell shock. It looked like Harper landed right on his arm or something, but he was fine on Raw. But it was just like, I don't know, it means nothing to me anymore. But then we get to the Divas Championship match, and this was an okay match, but it really showed how good Charlotte is. Brie Bella came out wearing Daniel Bryan's kick pads from WrestleMania 30, and she was doing the yes chanting. She was breaking out the yes lock and the kicks and everything. She even used Nikki Bella's forearm, and just compared to Charlotte, Brie Bella looked like a much worse wrestler. Not bad, significantly improved from how she used to be, but it's just like when you compare her to Charlotte, who's right next to her, Charlotte's execution was better, her technical ability was better, and Charlotte was able to play the heel while wrestling, just like I talked about with Kevin Owens. She's able to taunt and just do all the heelish tactics and steal the yes chant and all this stuff, like just talk trash to Brie while doing her moves perfectly. Even Charlotte's selling ability is better than Brie's, and towards the end of the match you had Brie do a diving drop kick off the corner, and she like hurt her leg. I don't know if she was selling that injury to set up the figure four or if something actually happened, but Michael Cole pointed out the injury, so I don't know how that plays in. But so Charlotte goes for the figure four, Brie turns it around into a yes lock, and then turns it into a single leg crab, which went on way longer than it should have, because then it looked like it was supposed to play off, where Charlotte like powers her out and like throws Brie into the ropes with her leg. But if she's gonna power out, why is she staying in the hold for 15-20 seconds? It just felt like it dragged on with an improper escape. But then Charlotte is able to turn it around, get the clean win with a figure eight submission. Brie taps out, and Charlotte retains her title. I'm right again. I'll repeat, I'm right with every prediction except for the Titans, which is still just like, what the fuck? Then we get to my favorite match of the night, AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho. This was an awesome match. AJ Styles really shined. Chris Jericho even shined, although he almost dropped AJ on his head a couple times. This was a phenomenal match, pun intended, with back and forth action. They were matching each other counter for counter, and it was just like some epic spots, great selling ability, great ring psychology, and just, it was an overall great match. I don't remember any "this is awesome" chants, but it certainly deserved them. You had AJ reaching the ropes from the walls of Jericho. He kicked out of a code breaker, I think, and then he starts mounting a comeback, and he hits the Styles Clash, and Jericho kicks out, surprisingly. Like, you would think the first time AJ uses the Styles Clash on pay-per-view, it should get the win, right? But he quickly turns it into a calf crusher, and Jericho did a phenomenal job selling this, really, like, wanting to tap out but not tapping out, and just like excruciating pain, holding it out for, I don't know what it was, 15-20 seconds. Here it made sense as opposed to the single leg crab. Chris Jericho taps out, AJ Styles gets the win, AJ's up 2-1 in the series, he wins the rubber match. And then on Raw, they're friendly. I don't know, they shake hands. Yeah, after the match, they had a confrontation, shook hands, with Jericho staring him down intensely. And then on Raw, Jericho compliments him, shakes his hand, Social Outcasts come out, and they team up, and they get dubbed Y2AJ. So that might be a thing heading into WrestleMania. So then we get to the Cutting Edge Peep Show, and Tony Chimmel's there. What the hell? Why isn't he here more often? But he's there, he does his thing. The New Day come out, and they go back and forth with Edge and Christian, doing their shtick and all that good stuff, and Edge uses the comment, "I've never seen so much chocolate acting so vanilla," which is edgy, but it's funny. It's a fine segment. It drags on more than it should have, and this was kind of a good opportunity to bring in Enzo and Cass, because New Day's rattling off all the teams that they've beaten, Lucha Dragons, Usos, Dudleys, etc., and I think Edge and Christian brought up League of Nations, or someone brought them up, and so the League of Nations come out, New Day leaves the ring, Edge and Christian leave the ring, and then they just mock the League of Nations. So I really hope that's not the WrestleMania match, but it might be.
Where's the ring, Daddy?
And then we get the Social Outcasts. Why? I don't know. Again, you had the Edge and Christian segment run on longer than it should have and waste some time, and then you have the Social Outcasts come out for an unannounced match between R-Truth and Curtis Axel. Goldust comes out and costs Truth the match. I don't care how you want to spin that, whatever angle you want to work. It's just stupid, especially to put it on right before the main event. Like, it's a waste of time. But so you get to the main event, and you have Dean versus Brock versus Roman. This was a good, solid match. The three really worked each other. Dean and Roman teamed up to take out the Beast, to put him through 2 announce tables. Good strategy. Brock really sold it well. I think probably my favorite line of the night was Byron Saxton saying, "Oh, Dean Ambrose just doesn't buy into the hype of Brock Lesnar." And JBL responds saying, "No, he's just nuts." Right. JBL's right. Dean Ambrose is nuts, and it's really what makes his character so popular and what gets the fans invested into him. They just love seeing something different, something a little more unpredictable, something a little more unstable. But so the first time he and Roman put Brock through the table, Ambrose strikes first. He starts attacking Roman, and then Brock gets up, they team him again, and then Roman strikes first. Roman starts attacking Dean. So Dean hits a dirty deeds on Roman, and Roman kicks out, and I'll get to this in a second. But then as Dean is going for the second dirty deeds, this is another time when the crowd is chanting, "This is awesome." The only other time they chanted that was during the Owens and Ziggler match, unless I missed it during the AJ and Jericho match. But so Roman gets out of the second one, picks Dean up for the Samoan drop, and then Brock Lesnar comes back in the ring and German suplexes both Roman and Dean. That's just like an amazing feat of strength, and I don't care how small of a moveset Brock has. Anytime he suplexes someone, it's amazing. It's just awesome to see someone dominating his competitors like that. So Roman hits a spear on Brock, Brock locks in the Kimura, Dean Ambrose comes in with a steel chair and starts going crazy on both of them. Brock sells it well, he rolls out of the ring, Roman no-sells it, gets up, spears Ambrose for the pin. 1, 2, 3, Roman's going on to WrestleMania. The issue I have with this is 1, him not selling the chair shots, and 2, Roman was able to kick out of 1 dirty deeds, but Dean was not able to kick out of 1 spear, so it almost just sorta buries Dean in that aspect, I guess, sort of, but not really. But it was a great match, and my overall impression of the event was that it was kind of throwaway because no titles changed, there's no swerve, no heel turns, no nothing. It was just sort of basic. It was a decent pay-per-view, a little lackluster with solid wrestling in between. It wasn't the greatest wrestling, but it was pretty good compared to what they've done recently, and so I enjoyed it for the wrestling aspect of it. But again, no swerves, no nothing, no progression in the storylines other than Roman goes on to WrestleMania. So then we get to Raw and we have the presentation of the Vincent J. McMahon Legacy of Excellence Award. This has been hyped up for a couple of weeks, and this is sort of like the biggest story of the past week in wrestling. So going into this, I was sort of expecting, alright, they're either going to work it into the storyline and present it to either Stephanie or Triple H or Vince himself to sort of just like, I don't know, enforce the authority's role. Or if they're going to take this award seriously and like make it a real thing, it's either going to Daniel Bryan for having just retired and being such a big influence on the wrestling world, or going to The Undertaker for probably retiring this year at WrestleMania and having such a huge impact over 25 plus years in the company. But so the award goes to Stephanie and she's getting booed like crazy, and right as she's about to give her acceptance speech,
here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Shane McMahon makes his return. What the hell? I already gave my like sort of immediate reaction to this. I had to fabricate it a little because I was doing it during the commercial after the segment. But I wanted to give you as an immediate of a reaction as possible because like my mind was blown. I mean, it was kind of funny when Steph and Vince were in the ring and they were talking. Vince is like, "Oh, I'm so proud of you, Steph," and I was kind of thinking to myself, what if Shane comes out? I sort of got that feeling right before it happened. I was just like, this just feels like something like Stephanie's getting all the attention. What about Shane? Shane's been out of the company for what, 6-7 years? So wouldn't it be weird to just like see him come back? And then all of a sudden we get his music hits and he comes out and it's just like, what the fuck? Like he's actually here. But so he comes out and he basically says, Steph, you and Hunter have basically driven this company into the ground. Look at the ratings, look at the stocks. Shane brings some reality into it because the stocks have been dropping, and the ratings have been down for the last, I don't know how many years. They're nothing like what they used to be. And Shane says the only reason the company is still afloat is because of him. He has something over Vince, whatever it is. He cut some sort of deal. Stephanie leaves the ring so that Vince and Shane can talk it out because Shane is like, oh, I'll do what you always taught me to do and settle things in the ring. Let's talk this out right here, right now. And he says he wants control of the company. So Vince says, I'll give you what you want, but you have to do one match, one night, WrestleMania against The Undertaker in Hell in a Cell. What? This is crazy news. Like, now that I've had a couple days to sort of think this over, it's like, one, this could be a crazy match, but two, you have The Undertaker is now sort of being endorsed by Vince. Like, is Undertaker heel? Are we supposed to boo The Undertaker at WrestleMania? Because Shane got a huge pop when he said he wanted control of Monday Night Raw. And it's like, of course, like, we want that, but we don't want Undertaker to lose at WrestleMania. So it's like, what are we going to do with this match? Plus, there's some speculation that it's almost like they're sort of just like scrambling, like they don't know what to do with Undertaker, so they're giving him this match, working this angle as Shane. Maybe Shane sticks around for a bit, maybe he sticks around into the summer, and this becomes a thing with him being regularly involved with the authority. But the speculation is that this match, this announcement is just supposed to hold the fans over to see if John Cena can make his return. I mentioned in the last video his cryptic tweets about trying to recover and making a gamble or whatever, and so some people have speculated if Cena can recover in time, maybe they're just going to say Shane is representing John Cena in the match, or the other way around, John Cena is representing Shane, and so Shane's not actually wrestling, but he's in John Cena's corner, Vince is in Undertaker's corner, and we get that John Cena vs. Undertaker match that we have speculated about for months. But it's still early, so let's just wait and see how this plays out. There's still 5 more weeks until WrestleMania. In today's world of wrestling, there's just so much speculation and dirt sheets that we almost sort of get lost in them, and we get taken out of the product. Like, I almost just want to like stop reading stuff like that and just watch the product for what it is and watch what they give us on a week-to-week basis. I just feel like if I do that, I'll almost enjoy it more like I did when I was a kid, because when I was a kid, I mean, the dirt sheets weren't as much of a factor, but it's just like I could also just watch it every week and see how it unfolds, just see what happens. I feel like I enjoyed it more then, and I kind of want to do that now, but you can't avoid the dirt sheets, you can't avoid the speculation, especially when you're on the internet like we all are. But so Monday Night Raw was filled with a bunch of tag team matches. It started off with the Lucha Dragons and Neville teaming up against the New Day. It was a decent match, nothing outstanding. I was still sort of in shock from the Shane McMahon thing, so couldn't get too involved in the match. New Day won, nothing special. But so now we get to the next important thing of the night, where they had shown a Facebook video of Dean getting attacked by Brock Lesnar out in the parking lot. Dean is now hospitalized or whatever, he's not there at Raw. So Brock and Paul Heyman come out basically saying they did what they did because Dean cost Brock the shot at WrestleMania by hitting him with a steel chair in the triple threat match. So now they're saying who's going to step up and face the Beast at WrestleMania, because the Beast is the main event regardless of whether the title's on the line or not, because it's certainly not going to be Dean. Brock just took care of that problem. But sure enough, here comes Dean in the ambulance, and he comes down to the ring crawling pretty much because he's still hurt, he's still selling the injury. Brock steps on his head and walks over him, walks up to the top of the ramp. Dean gets a microphone saying, "I want you at WrestleMania in a street fight." Brock walks back down, F5. Paul Heyman says, Brock accepts. And again, go back to my other video. I suggested this. I said this is what I wanted. If you're going to have Roman win the title, I wanted Dean versus Brock. If Dean was going to win the title, I wanted other stuff. But if Roman was going to win the title like I predicted, I would love to see Dean versus Brock. I would love to see this feud continue because they did great work leading up to the triple threat, and sure enough, that's the route that they're going. And I love that they made it a street fight. That's just gonna make the match so much more exciting. That's right up Dean's alley, and Brock can do some damage in a street fight. After that, we get another tag team match. You have the Usos and Dudleys going back and forth with words or whatever, and then so maybe that's still continuing that feud. But the Dudleys are saying it's nothing personal, you just need to learn respect, we're the baddest team on the planet, etc, etc. Ascension attacks the Usos from behind, they have a match, Usos win. So Jericho comes out and he calls out AJ Styles, congratulates him, reassures him that he's phenomenal, they shake hands again. Social outcasts come out, being like, oh, this is so fake, like you're all buddy-buddy now after tearing each other apart. And as I alluded to earlier, it seems that AJ and Y2J are now being dubbed Y2AJ, once again by the Social Outcasts. They had a tag team match, Jericho and AJ win. Another tag team match here on Raw. So once again, Kane, Big Show, and Ryback face the Wyatt family, but this time Brie is in the match instead of Braun Strowman. This match is meaningless to me. I mean, we just saw it last night. There's no real difference. The only thing was, as I alluded to earlier, you had that angle with Ryback trying to break off on his own and the Wyatt family win. Why couldn't that have been done at the pay-per-view? It just makes no sense to me. So then we get the first one-on-one match of the night, Sasha Banks versus Naomi. This is good. You get to continue this rivalry. Hopefully this kind of gets renewed after Sasha Banks wins the title. That's what I would like to see. I'd like to see Sasha Banks win the title. Charlotte gets a rematch or whatever, and then Naomi comes back into the title picture to feud with Sasha Banks. Again, I'll give credit to What Culture and Adam for coming up with that idea, but it's something that I agree with and I would love to see. I think this was a good match. Naomi worked as a great heel and Sasha Banks shined as a great competitor, and they both just like had a lot of chemistry in the ring. Wasn't too sloppy, it was just a decent women's wrestling match. Becky came out, attacked Tamina, allowing Sasha Banks to pick up the win, and then Charlotte comes out, does her thing, still acting as a great heel. I think I got into NXT right around Charlotte's face turn because I don't remember much of her being a heel. But damn, she works as a good heel. Charlotte comes out, she starts taunting the two of them, driving a wedge between the two, their unholy alliance or whatever you want to call it. And she basically says the two of you are the contenders for the title, you two will fight to see who is the #1 contender. Then we get to the main event, Roman versus Sheamus. You had Stephanie set up this match and try to like taunt Roman, being like, oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if all 4 members of the League of Nations start attacking you because they're not in the main event of WrestleMania like you are. And then during a commercial break, the League of Nations gets ejected. Why couldn't you have done that on camera? That just doesn't make sense to me at all, especially with Stephanie like bringing that point up earlier in the show. That seems like something that should have been made a point on camera. But so the match ends in a no contest because Triple H, leather jacket and all, jeans, whatever, comes out, attacks Roman, and they brawl it out. Triple H starts bashing his head mercilessly over and over into the announce table, and Roman is gushing blood from his nose. I don't know if it was like a bloody nose or if like he bladed his nose or what happened. But Roman was pretty messy, and it was interesting to see. I alluded in one of my first videos to the fact that WWE should incorporate blood, not excessive blood, but just a little blood here and there when you have an intense rivalry like this one. So here it made a lot of sense. And then the show closed out with Triple H pedigreeing the bloody Roman on the steel steps and all the referees trying to pull him off. And it was a good angle. It really just sort of pushes this rivalry further and allows more development of this. Hopefully we see more of the game Triple H rather than the authoritarian Triple H, just because it's gonna help push the rivalry. But so that's the fallout of Fastlane, and I just want to say, like, we're still early in the road to WrestleMania. We still have 5 weeks to go, so I want to see how everything unfolds leading up to WrestleMania. I want to see what happens in the next 5 weeks. I'm interested though. WWE has gotten me interested, and that itself is an accomplishment, just considering like how bad the storylines have been recently. But I'm intrigued. I want to see where the Shane McMahon thing goes. I want to see Triple H and Roman Reigns have these bloody brawls. Maybe not bloody, but I want to see them brawl it out. I want to see it get intense. I don't want to see too many jokes like tater tots or whatever. I just want to see fists flying and brawling it out and intensity and aggression. That's what's going to get me involved in the rivalry. You also have Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose in their match at WrestleMania, and so that's something I want to see because those two can go at it. They can have an intense rivalry. I'd love to see the promos between Dean and Paul Heyman. So like I said, we still got 5 more weeks until WrestleMania. I'm interested to see how everything unfolds. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I am Stingfish. It's been nice talking to you guys. I will see you next video.